I've had doctors call me and threaten me and tell me never to see their patients ever again
For
because I
what
reverse their
reason?
fatty liver, reverse their diabetes, reverse their whatever. And when I ask why, if they give me a chance to speak, they say because my patient doesn't need me anymore. You're affecting my business.
That should be
That's criminal.
reportable.
That is
It,
That should.
criminal.
criminal is actually the right word.
We're bringing healthy back. Them other bros don't know about the facts.
Hello, hi everybody, and welcome to the Magic of Metabolic Health podcast, episode 19,
Oof.
where optimized metabolic health is our goal, and we are here to get you there.
That's right.
My name is Amelia Wood, and I am a food first personal trainer and metabolic health coach. And we have here Dr. Funmmy, my esteemed colleague. Hey, Dr. Funmmy.
Hi, guys. Dr. Funmmy Aoyami, board certified internal medicine physician. Nice to see you guys.
And hi, Dr. Jodi. She's our esteemed guest today.
Hi, everyone.
So we're just going to jump right into it. I do want to say for newbies who are listening or watching, here at the Magic of Metabolic Health podcast, we are building a village that encompasses every part of who you are. We release guilt and shame in the quest for perfection and show you how self-efficacy and knowing your why are crucial tools in sustainable behavior change and, of course, optimizing your metabolic health.
Yes.
So today I'm going to introduce our guest, Dr. Jodi. She is a doctor of pharmacy by degree and licensure and became an accredited metabolic health practitioner in 2019. Her clinic, the Keto Prescription Clinic, has operated in Hawaii since January 2019, where she's worked with well over 3,000 patients. She accepts insurance and opened a keto cafe in June 2025 with her husband, Jeff. Rise Cafe is doing exceptionally well, and both Hawaii residents and visitors have been very happy and appreciative to have a low-carb and gluten-free place to eat that doesn't use inflammatory seed oils. All right, so let's get into it. I
How
know everybody
exciting.
wants to hear about that, but we have a little tradition here on the show. Is we get a little personal with the first question. We always want to know how our guests grew up, like specifically around food culture and food environment, what you ate as a child, what your family valued. Maybe just start with that.
Yeah. I think something people don't realize about Hawaii is we have a very large Asian population. When I say Asian, I mean Chinese, Korean, Japanese, and Filipino is predominantly the ethnicities that live here. And the reason why is Hawaii used to be a plantation state, right? Hawaii is where we grew all of our sugar and all of our pineapple. So, like, I'm fourth generation in Hawaii, and my ancestors came here to work on the plantations. And where I'm going with that is they didn't have a lot of money. You know, they weren't like the educated Asians that lived in the city. You know, they came from kind of the outskirts. So, a big part of our diet here growing up is rice
Oh, wow.
and tons of rice because rice not only is Asian, right, but fills your plate. So you've got this much meat and you've got this much rice on your plate so that you're full at the end of the day. And that's how we grow up here. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a plate lunch, but that's a big thing in Hawaii. And a plate lunch is some type of protein, gravy all over everything, 2 scoops of rice, and 1 scoop of macaroni salad.
Ugh.
And it's pretty much a staple. And I have these sugar containers downstairs next to the register where I've measured out like the exact amount of sugar that different foods turn into. Well, 2 scoops rice and 1 scoop of macaroni salad turns into 42 packets of sugar.
My
And so
goodness.
Hawaii has an extremely high diabetes rate. It's almost 70% pre-diabetes and diabetes.
My
And when you
goodness.
walk around here, yes, there are a lot of healthy people because of the sunshine and the ocean, and we have really clean air here. But because of the diet, you have a lot of overweight and obese people as well.
My goodness. These are startling numbers. 70% of prediabetes and diabetes in a single state is
Yeah,
astronomical.
yeah,
Like, as in, it might be the highest, some of the highest I've heard in the country. Um,
exactly.
Oh my goodness. And I don't know, although the plate lunch sounds like initially sounds delicious, like, that Hawaiian rice and that macaroni. I think having like a demonstration of the sugar that it turns into is
Yeah,
so beneficial for patients because a lot of patients haven't made that connect that carbs turn into sugar and sugar is feeding your diabetes. And so having that visual representation is such a brilliant idea, actually. I love that. But I can't even imagine, only because when I think of rice, as in, like you said, it's very popular in Asian cultures. I am as Nigerian as a person could be Nigerian. And so lots of African countries have rice as their staple because, as you said, it fills up the plate, it's very filling. And
uh,
some people, that might just be the one meal that they have in a day. So knowing that most of the one meal that you might have in the day is mostly carbs and is turning into sugar is a recipe for disaster. It
yeah,
really is.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm curious if you grew up with those traditions, um, what happened? What changed? When did you start to notice maybe symptoms or that dietary pattern wasn't working for you? Maybe it was when you were a child or a teenager or way later.
Hmm. In 2003, I was diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis, which is an
Um,
autoimmune condition, and it runs in my family. But mine was, I was going through a pretty difficult time, very stressful time in my life, and it was affecting my entire body from head to toe. I wasn't so much the psoriasis component of it, I was heavy, heavy joints. Um, I had difficulty walking. I had difficulty holding anything without pain, opening a door. And I was only 30 years old at the time.
so
And
young.
so um, I was just living with that. And I was on weekly injections. I did weekly injections of a medication called Enbrel for 13 years. My rheumatologist told me I would never get off medication, that I would just cycle from one to the next, eventually ending up on IV infusions, which actually set me into a pretty deep depression. Now at the
Mm.
time I was also a pharmacist, right? So you're filling prescriptions and you're like, I did a video about this on social media. Like at this one retail pharmacy I worked at, there'd be 9 pharmacists lined up at the counter. That doesn't include the pharmacy techs. And you're just filling prescriptions all day long. And I was working on this one patient, and he had 25 prescriptions, a Medicaid patient. Most of them were interacting with each other. And I just like stopped what I was doing and I like looked at my colleagues on both sides of me and I was like, does anyone else see anything wrong with this? And that exact story happened way back in like the 90s when I was still in school and I was interning. And they were like, just be quiet, Jodi. We don't question. We just fill the prescription. And I was
Excuse
like,
me.
okay, right? I also worked in big pharma for many years
Mhm.
when my children were very young. It's an excellent salary. You make your own hours. You don't actually, in truth, have to work that much, to be honest. You get a free car, you get free gas, you get free food, you get wonderful training and benefits. But I worked in big pharma in many different capacities,
Mhm.
and I've just seen it all. My career path has led me to, we cannot continue healthcare the way it has been. It's
Sure,
just not working. You know what I
sure.
mean? So, through my own medical condition, a colleague told me about keto. I started cutting out sugar. My severe psoriatic arthritis went into complete remission, and I've been off of my
Wow.
injections now for 10 years.
Amazing. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
As in, are you still in contact with that colleague? Because as
Yeah.
in, yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
wonderful. People who
Yeah.
are keto usually stay in contact with other people who are keto because it really is a big lifestyle change.
Oh, yeah.
But I can't imagine, what's the funny part? When it comes to people who do keto, it's usually people who work in the medical industry because the call is coming from inside the house.
Hmm.
We know that we can see people who have gone into remission just by changing their diet and being on lifelong medication. can be very depressing, very debilitating, very expensive. And so at the end of the day, once you've been through the system for that long, it really kind of galvanizes you. It's like, I need to make a change and it has to come from within me. And I think
Yeah.
that's why we're so lucky to have you here with us today.
Thank you. I think we all have a story like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Amelia's story is just as Amelia, you started your story just almost kind of like with the vegan story, as in everyone has a story that kind of brings them
Wow.
to ketosis, that kind of brings them to the metabolic life. And thank you for sharing your story with us today.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm curious. You were in pharmacology
Mhm.
and now you're here. So I'm sure you had a lot of big choices to make and perhaps I don't want to say burn some bridges, but you had to cut some ties and might have compromised, your financial status, your professional relationships. Can you share a little bit about that?
So here's what's interesting about me because I'm a PharmD, right? I'm not an MD, who then later became an accredited metabolic health practitioner many years later.
Mm,
Yeah, and this is the truth. Like sometimes as a pharmacist, you just get treated as like the stupid pharmacist. Yet we know
really?
way more about medications than most
Way
of the
more.
prescribing doctors do, right? So
Amazing. You guys are actually the smarter. I believe that pharmacists are actually much smarter.
that's what,
I've
Coming
always
from an
thought that.
MD.
No, no, coming from an MD, if I have my rounds and I don't have a pharmacist there, I kind of feel like we're
yeah,
missing a very crucial part. The
of the
pharmacists are so
team.
important of the
Yeah, and I
D.
think people don't understand the inpatient model where a lot of it is
Mm,
punted to the pharmacist to calculate and figure out and do the daily monitoring and the levels and all of that, right? People wouldn't understand that in like the outpatient setting because it doesn't really happen there.
mm,
But man, you guys, I've gotten some hate. I've and I'm able to bill for my visits through insurance because I partner with an MD. So in the
I
state of
see.
Hawaii, I bill insurance incident to an MD. And so
I see.
because of the cost of living out here, it's a little harder for me to do a cash model for my
Mhm.
appointments.
Sure.
So I've had doctors call me and threaten me and tell me never to see their patients ever again
For
because I
what
reverse their
reason?
fatty liver, reverse their diabetes, reverse their whatever. And when I ask why, if they give me a chance to speak, they say because my patient doesn't need me anymore. You're affecting my business.
That should be
That's criminal.
reportable.
That is
It,
That
it,
should.
criminal.
Criminal is actually the right word, and then I've been told, you're just a stupid pharmacist, you're out of line, you're not even, they don't understand the
Disrespectful.
the accreditation process, which was much harder back in 2019 to
Mm,
do this for a living legally, right? They don't understand that, and so I can't take it personally.
mm.
I've had oncologists out here, patients will say, is it true that sugar feeds cancer cells? Where'd you hear that from? That keto doctor? Oh, I heard about her. And all my patients come back to me and they report what they were told.
This is getting
It's just
spicy.
in kind of an interesting journey for sure. But I'm a pretty tough cookie and I'm a survivor and I'm very resilient. And so
Mhm.
I don't let that kind of stuff stop me.
I can see that about you. You look pretty tough. And I could definitely see it
Yeah.
because when you can cut out sugar out of your diet, that already makes you like stronger than
Yes.
most. And
Yeah.
then you do this for a living and then you're like, going against, the people who are trying to make medicine a business because medicine is definitely a calling, as in it's not just supposed to be something that, makes you a paycheck. And because a lot of things can make you a paycheck in this world, but you've got to care about your patients and you've got to want a better
You
future
have
for
to
them.
do the
And that
right
means
thing.
you have to. You have to. And
Yeah.
when you seeing that polypharmacy in the pharmacy and you're trying to like bring those numbers down, you're trying to bring down the amount of prescriptions they're on, as in that would make you a hero in my book.
Because these people are not getting better. They're just
Yeah.
over medicated. And that's like typical of society today. Because I used to work in the pharmaceutical industry, I have a lot of friends in the pharmaceutical
Hmm.
industry. I would say a fourth of them no longer speak to me. They feel that by me talking about big pharma and just, come on, they have to keep their shareholders happy. It really is a big part of
I
their
see.
business model. They have to, right, by default. And I never speak ill of the reps, the drug reps or anything. It's the
Right.
company. Like, they're not here to help you. If they healed you, you would no longer need their product. I mean, that's just business 101. So I think they
Mm.
don't like if I ever talk about things like that. So yeah, when you say bridges burned, that's where that's happened.
And
Yeah.
understandable, actually. It's
Hmm.
understandable.
So,
As in, for the most part, when we see this kind of thing, the only reason I'm even mentioning it is because if they can make a pill, if they can make a pill to fix you, most patients would go for the pill. It's very hard for people to get on board with the habits to actually lose weight and maintain weight loss and cut sugar out. Sugar can be very addicting, as in we put
Oh
it
yeah,
on par with like alcohol and drugs because
yeah,
when you've grown up with it in an environment where it's fueled by sugar, getting
oh yeah.
yourself off of it is almost like detoxing. And that's why we do detoxes to get people off of sugar and to kind
Hmm.
of reset their bodies to be able to live without it. So that's why I say, it's a very strong thing for you to do. And it takes someone being extremely sick to finally get there. And which is why I love the fact that you're doing your cafe, as in I think that's wonderful.
yeah, let's talk about the cafe.
It's so funny.
We love
Yeah,
food. Come on.
yeah.
I was like, we do. As in, I think people, when they think of keto, they don't think that like you like food because you're cutting out like sweets and rice and potatoes. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. Watch me take down a 40-ounce tomahawk. Just watch me do it
Right,
systematically. I,
right. Yeah, yeah.
So, I know that you just opened the cafe, but I'm sure you had the idea perhaps long before. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey?
You know how in the beginning you're introducing just your guys' mantra and your mission statement type of thing, and to be keto or low carb or carnivore, wherever you fall on the spectrum, right? It can be very challenging. And
mm,
I used to think, oh, wouldn't it be so cool if I had a little, not the size this turned out to be, but little coffee shop where my patients could come hang out and we could, I had all these little ideas and we had some little keto compliant snacks and just for the
mm,
community, right? A place where we could go and eat and hang out and everything's compliant and we don't have to stress out and we don't have to fear being judged because we say things like, oh, is it possible to sub vegetables in place of pasta? You know what I mean? People get scared
mm.
to make requests like this when they eat out. Um, and you know how the universe works? And it's like, I,
Tell me about it.
yeah, and I just was like, oh, I don't know, maybe it's time to. I just kind of got sick of hearing my patients say, I don't know what to eat. I don't have time to cook. Um, there's no
Mm,
place to eat out. After 3,000 patients, you get kind of sick and tired of hearing the same stuff. And you
mm,
teach them and you try to help them, but you're still hearing this. That was the impetus for me to really start looking into this seriously. Ran it by my husband. Perfect place pops up out of
mm.
nowhere, literally 5 blocks from where we live. And
I love
so
that for you.
these were all the things that lined up. Um, and it was exactly what I was looking for, where it had space upstairs where I could see my patients. And it's needed. I mean, I feel like we need one of these in every state, because
Mm,
there are a whole bunch of us out there now. It wasn't like 2019. There were like 300 of us. Now there's like thousands of us out there, right?
mm.
And yeah, there's places that might offer keto options, gluten free, but there's no dedicated low carb spot to eat at. And that was how this whole thing came to be. And so my clinic subsidizes the cafe because anyone that's ever worked in food or owned a food business, you do not make a ton of money, especially because we don't sell alcohol.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right. And so that in and of itself reduces your profit margin significantly.
Not even zero proof alcohol, because the
No.
zero proof alcohol is actually quite keto friendly.
Well, we're a breakfast, brunch, lunch spot.
Okay, I see.
So like what, I could do mimosas, I guess,
Yeah,
but
mimosas,
just so
Bloody
you
Marys.
know, in San Diego in 2024, Anthony Chafee sat down with me for 2 hours and lectured me about why are you still drinking alcohol.
Oh
And
my
I
goodness.
after that I felt so guilty. I quit
Mm,
when I got back home from that conference.
really? Oh my goodness. How was that? Give me the tea. What was that about?
Because it was the last night, and Doug and Pam will usually invite all the speakers to dinner, and so we were all there, and he sat across the table from me, and then they were pouring glasses of the leftover keto wine from Dry Farm, and I held my glass up, and like he was like mortified. He's like, "You're gonna drink that?" And I was like,
Why
"Yeah."
not?
He's like, "How can you do that? How, like, your patients, they look up to you so." And I was just like, I mean, I went back to my room that night. I mean, questioning my entire life
Oh
after
my
that talk.
goodness.
But
What
you
a
know what?
talking down to.
No, Dr. Fumi, it's like I'm 53. I've been drinking socially every weekend, probably since junior year of high school,
Sure,
outside of
sure.
being pregnant and breastfeeding and all that. And I
Yeah,
was like,
sure, sure.
it's time.
Yeah, okay.
It's
That's
time.
fair. That's fair. But can I say, did you say you were 53?
I'm 53.
You look amazing. What?
It's the
Are you
keto. It's the
serious?
keto.
I've always said that when you remove
It
sugar out of
is.
your diet, you're essentially not glazing yourself, and so it really
Yep.
removes a lot of inflammation out of your system. So you are not as swollen. You look better. You sleep better.
Well,
I've
and
always
sugar
said
kills
keto makes you look
collagen.
beautiful.
Sugar kills collagen. So you can use all the serums and potions in the world, but if you're still eating
Mm.
sugar, it's still going to break down your collagen,
You
right?
know what? 100%. I agree with that. And I'm a big fan of collagen here. I'm a big fan of skincare here. So I'm like gas. I'm like, I need your care regime now. I need it now, Dr.
I
Jody.
only use tallow.
Really? You put beef tallow on your skin?
That's
Are
the
you
only
serious?
thing I wear zero makeup.
Amelia, you were right. Amelia's been a proponent of beef tallow for as long as I've known her. She says
Only
it's
I will
literally
not
could
put
cure
any
cancer.
chemicals on my skin. No chemicals on my
Wow. You
skin.
know what?
Only
Let me
beef
go ahead
tallow.
and just write that down. Get myself a big old jar of beef tallow right after this
Yeah.
because I'm not playing games. You look amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, shameless plug, which makes me no money. I have a pantry full of cases of bison tallow that I rendered last
Wow.
year because I have an amazing source of bison from northern Idaho, and the guy hooks us up. He'll sell us a 20-pound box of fat for like, pennies. And
Wow.
then I put it in my freezer, and then I wait for the day where I got, 6 hours, and I just render, put them in little, mason jars, and just I keep them in my pantry. And when people want to try it, I give them a jar because I know that you could sell that for probably $20 at the grocery store at the farmer's market. But
Yeah.
I'm
Oh, yeah.
trying to get my friends and family into this
Yeah.
nose to tail, ancient human, like back to our roots, right?
I can't
Do you use
believe
it
it.
for cooking too, or only
Oh,
skin?
yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, cooking soup. Um,
After email me. I want to buy some off of you.
I was about to say, um,
I came up with bison
Amelia, what
tallow
can I
now.
do to get a jar of this
Yeah,
stuff? Are
I
you
want to try
holding out on
bison
me?
tallow. Yeah.
I got
Seriously.
you. Okay. Yeah, I have another 20 pounds in the freezer that will be my second batch that I've
Oh,
ever
wow.
made. But I have plenty ready to go. So
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Uh, you mentioned, Dr. Jodi, the low carb conference. And for those of our audience who don't know about the Society of Metabolic Health Practitioners and Low Carb USA, you've been very involved with the development. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so they were founded, the society, right? And this is where the Low Carb USA and Nutrition Network Group, because they work very closely together, have really been the pioneers in this in terms of legitimizing the field of metabolic health. You have a lot of influencers on social media, and it's just kind of interesting. If you're not a licensed healthcare provider, you can say whatever the heck you want on social media and give all kinds of advice. But if you're licensed, you can't do that. You really are not supposed to be giving medical advice on social media. You can get into big trouble for that. And so just having so much backlash from the medical community about keto's dangerous, keto's going to give you a heart attack. These organizations have worked very hard to create guidelines, to offer training for those of us that want to publish studies and case studies in medical journals. So the Society of Metabolic Health Practitioners, SMHP, they host two conferences a year, one in Boca Raton in January and one in San Diego in August. And what's unique about their conferences is they do not allow any pharmaceutical sponsors at all to sponsor any display booths. That keeps the content and the intent very clean and not influenced at all. Most of the speakers, we are not even paid an honorarium. Again, it's not just that they can't afford it, it's that keeps it very clean and pure. There's no money driving it, right? It's just knowledge. It's also open to both healthcare providers and just the general public, and you're all sitting in one room together. That never happens at any conference ever, really. It's such a rare thing. And that gives patients and the public an opportunity to just be amongst the doctors and the dietitians and the surgeons and the pharmacists that are there. And, guys like Anthony Chafee, when he attends, I mean, the dude can't even go to the restroom. Like, there's a line of people in the hall. And he's so nice that he'll talk to everyone. He'll stand there for 2 hours and literally talk to anyone that wants to talk to him. And so it's a great, great thing. They have a focus day every 6 months before the conference. So the one I ran last January was our focus was women's health. This past one was cardiovascular health. And so it's such a great, and the cost is reasonable. It's just a great medical society. It's a real medical society. And the talks are ACCME accredited. So for those of you who need CMEs, like, this is a place to be.
Yeah, it is. And I just got back from Boca Raton,
Yeah.
and
So lucky.
it was incredible the first day. And really, the whole conference had a huge emphasis on, I feel, the most complex and confusing subject of health, and that is cholesterol.
Cholesterol. Ugh.
And
Sense LDL.
yeah, but I won't get into
Protein little b. It's hard.
Yeah, it's well, I was texting Funmmy about stuff live from the conference. I'm like, hey, they told me this, and that's okay, and don't worry about this. And because my PCP, I won't get into it, but she's about to be fired. She couldn't read my cholesterol lab, so I was literally talking to the cardiac surgeons, the cardiologists at this conference last week in Florida, and saying, I'm sorry to bother you. I know you can't give me medical advice. I just need someone to interpret these labs, because my PCP literally looked at them and said, I've never seen anything like this before. I'm sorry I can't interpret this for you.
You're out, and you're lucky she didn't say you're going to have a heart attack any day. So are you a lean mass hyperresponder? Because I'm a lean mass hyperresponder.
Technically,
wow.
no. I talked to Dave Feldman twice about this, because I got my labs from ownyourlabs.com, which is, I think we've mentioned it before on the podcast, but for folks who don't know it, it's an amazing resource, independent. You can submit any lab request you want. They have a doctor in-house to approve it. It is cash basis only, so no insurance, but they just send you to your local lab, and they send you the results. And then challenge is who interprets the results. If you have a doctor who knows what they're doing, they can help you. But for example, mine, unfortunately, she was a little embarrassed, I think. And in the end, after my appointment, her follow-up notes just said, your cholesterol's elevated and you need to lower your saturated fat intake. She did say lower carbohydrates, which was nice, and exercise more. So anyway, I won't get into the drama of the studies I'm sending her and all that, but
I was
before
gonna
I
say
fire her.
I was about to say we could get into it a little bit because I feel like some listeners are gonna have like the same type of situation, which is that they went
They
to
are.
do their lipid panel according to their doctor, and
Yeah.
their doctor then said that, hey, your cholesterol is high, your triglycerides are high, or your HDL is low, and they're like, yeah, but what does that mean? So, in defense of this physician, although, I know you're going to fire her, in defense of this physician, the way that we're trained is that we understand how lipids are made, how lipids, like how we intake in lipids, how our body processes it, what goes to the liver, and then what it does in the body, and how we get rid of them. But we may not know the way that we're trained. We may not know to the level of what does LDLP stand for and how do you take care of apoprotein little b. This is more trained to cardiologists, and so perhaps that is why she sent you to a cardiologist to do some more in-depth explanation of those things. She only understood it to her level, and when you're a person you're doing ketosis, your lipid panel is going to be skewed because you've taken out a good portion of the carbohydrates that you ingest and you're eating much more fats. So as the recommendations start to change, as people start to become more keto based, as people start to do this diet, as people start to do this lifestyle, the hope is that more MDs will be able to get onto that, level of cardiologists of being able to interpret this.
Well, I
That's
have
it.
good news, and we were trying to get this handout out in time for the January conference. So I'm chair of the resources committee for the SMHP, and our job is to create handouts for the public. And hopefully the physicians will take a look at it as well. And the
Sure.
one we've been working on for months is understanding cholesterol
Sure.
and understanding what happens to cholesterol when you are on a low carb lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have this front and back page handout. It just needs to be formatted basically. And because I've run into this issue daily,
Sure.
daily for 7 years, right? And gotten death threats from doctors and all this kind of
Oh
thing.
my goodness.
And I'm not a fan of statins at
Of
all.
course not. Of
And
course
I
not.
can have a whole conversation with you about pharmacogenomics and how
Sure.
that plays into statins, but we'll
Sure.
save that for another time. Is Phil Ovadia actually was the one that helped me make this handout, because on our committee there just wasn't enough clinical experience, I think, amongst everyone on this exact topic, or people were afraid to chime
Oh,
in. And it
sure,
was
sure.
Phil that stepped up and was like, okay, I'll help you with this. You know what I mean?
Fantastic.
And so it's going to be good, and it's going to be a great resource, and they'll announce it
Wonderful.
over email when it's finally ready. But maybe what your audience needs to know is if you go to lowcarbusa.org,
Mm-hmm.
the smhp.org, and
Mm-hmm.
if you click on resources, there are free handouts that we've made that you can download and give to everyone in the world if you want.
I wonder if we can link it to this to this episode, Amelia, that we
Yeah.
can so we can just have that resource readily available so that people
Yeah.
can look at it with themselves and just kind of take a look, because seeing is believing for some patients. And I've talked to cardiologists because I've been keto for like almost 10 years now. And I've talked to cardiologists. I'm like, we expect your lipid panel to be abnormal. And so if you don't know to look out for that, if you're on a ketogenic diet, then of course your primary care physicians may freak out when they see
They're
your
going to
lipid
freak out.
panel, and they're like, yo, what's going on with this? Yes, you've lost weight, and yes, your inflammation is down, but look at your lipid panel, look at the lipid. And I'm like, okay, what about the lipids? And I
Yeah.
think who made a presentation about that called what about the lipids? I think we did we do an episode like this, Amelia, where we were
No,
talking about this? I
not
think we might have. I
yet.
think we might have, but not yet. Maybe that should be the next one. Let's talk lipids.
Well,
Oh yeah.
I think it's okay to say that I met Dr. Ovadia at the conference last week. I approached him, and between Sunday and today, I have now got him on our calendar for the podcast.
Good. He would be perfect
Wonderful.
for that topic. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Good.
And I'm actually, the universe, I love how the universe works because I do free classes at senior centers on metabolic conditions and nutrition. And I have a diabetes and hypertension class, and then a follow-up on grocery shopping and how to, shop for your insulin and blood sugar and blood pressure. And then my third class that I'm developing right now is on fat and cholesterol, because everybody looks at my grocery guide and my shopping list and they're like, but what about that saturated fat? I have heart disease, or I'm obese. I can't have that fat. My doctor tells me I have to eat whole grains and all these things. And I said, don't worry, next month, so by the end of February, I will have my third class created. And the fact that I showed up at Low Carb Boca Raton and they were all talking about cholesterol was better than perfect. It was amazing. I feel
Serendipitous.
much more comfortable talking about cholesterol, not just for myself, but when people throw these big questions at me in these classes, I always say I'm not a specialist in cholesterol. I'm not a doctor. This is my understanding, but let's table that and come to my next class, because I'm going to talk all about eating fat, and which I already do, but in its relationship to cholesterol and understanding the risks and benefits. So that
Hopefully the handout will be ready by the time you. Yeah.
exactly. So we'll stay in touch, because
Yeah.
I'm not starting from scratch, because I have tons of studies and lots of information
Yeah.
from the presentations from last week. But yeah, if you guys have already been working on something, I'd love to use it as a resource in my class.
That sounds wonderful. Are you going to
It just
live
needs to
stream
be
this?
formatted. That's it. So it shouldn't be hard. So
Yeah.
hopefully. Yeah.
Are you live streaming it, Amelia? Or are you recording it? Or
No, I do it whenever or wherever a place can host me. So I do it on at two senior centers on the island, and then one in Edmonds, and it's just according to their availability, and it's free. Well, I have been able to charge for a couple classes as a series, kind of like a workshop, and but generally they're free, and I just kind of get on the schedule when they have space. But I'm starting to do more kind of self-initiated events. For example, the Cholesterol Code, which is a new documentary that will be out very, very soon. Dave Feldman presented a little bit on it. They had a booth at the conference last week with representatives helping us, attendees, plan screenings in our town. So I'm already in an email conversation with their team, and we've already booked one screening here in Bellevue, Washington. I believe
oh
it's going
wow.
to be March 18th, someone's birthday.
My birthday. I would have loved to come. Actually, I would love to get in contact with them because they should do a screening where I am. I'm here in New York, New Jersey, and
Yeah.
I
I
know
want to
that
go
there's a
screening out here too. How do we do? How do
let's
Yeah,
all see if we can host a screening in our respective cities. I
Yeah.
think that would be great, actually.
exactly. So the platform they're using is Gather,
Gather.
GTHER, and they help you book or plan the screening. They have a whole list of theaters that's in their network. I've never booked like planned my own screening like this before, so I'm a novice. I keep getting emails and they're saying words I don't understand, and so I don't know exactly how it works, but um I will send you the email. And if you just go to, I think, Cholesterol Code the film or something, we'll find the
Okay.
link and put it in the show notes. But they
I'm sure it's
have,
on his website too, right? Dave's
I
website.
think,
it's
yeah,
all
that's
over
kind of
the
great.
place.
Okay.
Yeah, they have a
Okay.
little box that says host a screening, and you fill
Wow.
out a form and then they contact you.
You know what?
So,
My
Imagine
patients would
getting,
love that.
I think
I
that
gotta
would be
yeah.
admit.
great. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie. Imagine getting an entire cardiology department to go to the screening of this. No, I'm just not, as in just walk with me here because these are my colleagues that
Right.
especially with the way that we're trained. Whenever I say the words with the way that we're trained as medical students, as residents, this is the information, these are the articles, these are the studies that have been put out over the last 100 years about cholesterol. This is what we know so far. However, as things continue to come out, things become more redundant, things become taken out of practice, new research comes in and debunks old research. And so everyone can learn, everyone can stand to be able to say, you know what? Statins aren't just for everybody. Statins are only for maybe people with certain cardiovascular risks. It shouldn't be for the general populace. It shouldn't be just given out like candy. You know, even if someone does have dyslipidemia does not equally mean that they're going to have a heart attack. That's not what that means. So we need to be very careful when we're talking about statins and cholesterol and like relearn this subject as more information becomes more present. I don't think there's anything
Yeah.
wrong with that.
And I would, Amelia, maybe put a link in your show notes to the insulin resistance handout on the SMHP website. That
Hmm.
is one that I give to my patients probably at every third or fourth appointment. It's so good. That's
Okay.
probably the best handout we've made. But because insulin resistance is really the bigger contributor to cardiovascular disease, I think that's a
Yes.
valuable one for people to know exists. And it's free. It's free.
Mm.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will make sure we put all those links in the show notes.
Hmm.
And speaking of, I guess, how we've been taught, I really wanted to ask you, I know we don't have a ton of time left, but Dr. Jodi, what is your perspective on the new food guidelines, the nutrition guidelines that the government released? It's kind of poking the bear, but I'm really curious because everybody in the metabolic health community is talking about it.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. So, backstory, I'm one of the co-authors on a paper that Nina Teicholz released, and this paper was published in the journal Nutrients. And this is exactly what we talk about in our paper. And we have the old dietary guidelines, and then we have our dietary guidelines. Like, it's actually so
Flipped.
the new dietary guidelines that were just approved looks almost exactly like what we published in that paper. So I mean, 90% super excited, right? 90% super happy about this, love that it's just 8 pages instead of hundreds of pages of BS and propaganda and lies,
Mm.
right?
I agree.
But the whole thing about saturated fat, and just what they left out and how the calories and the fat percent, like it just, the math doesn't math, yes, is a big problem. And I heard from someone that RFK Jr. was like, no, I know, but we have to just, like this is step one type of thing. And if
Okay.
we have the math and we're saying all this fat is okay, that is going to take away from the larger message of we've got to cut carbs and we've got to eat more protein, because everyone who's against us is going to only focus on that, and they're going to ignore everything
Interesting.
else. So when I heard that, I was like, I got to agree with the guy 100%. It's true,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
whoever they are, will find one thing,
Hmm.
and then they'll use network media and all their channels to only focus on that, to ignore
Hmm.
everything else good that's coming out of this. So I'm 90% happy about it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
That's
Yep.
actually not bad. That's actually the best explanation I've heard so far. No, it's because it's true. As in, even though we know better,
Mhm.
um, too much change for the general population is gonna,
Can't
people just
handle,
not gonna
can't
do it.
handle it.
People can't
Yep,
do it. People is
yep,
like little by little. You
yep,
can't give too many changes to a patient. They need to change 12 things and you give them 12, they're not gonna do any. You give them
correct.
two things. So you gotta, it's
Yes,
incrementally, little by little, baby
it's
steps. And
baby steps.
that's for everything. So I can understand that. That's actually really good, Dr. Jody.
And you guys, when you look at how far we've come in the last 10 years, but even in the last 5,
Yeah,
we are probably on the leading edge of this whole movement, right? And this
sure,
lifestyle and improving healthcare.
sure.
Will we see super significant change in our lifetime? Maybe not, especially me, because I'm half dead already. But like,
Ah, ah.
but this it's such an exciting time to be alive,
Sure.
and all these truths are coming out, and I think
Mm,
that's what we focus on.
mm,
We can't sit here and nitpick. We have to just do our work in our
sure.
respective states, and our, like these free classes Amelia gives. I mean, kudos to you.
Yeah, really though.
We're all doing our little part, and these little
Mhm.
parts will all add up someday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and they're
agree.
already adding up. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I won't get into it because I've shared it before, but I had a neighbor who changed his life just by using a CGM. He
Mm,
couldn't come to my class, so I sent him the notes from the class, and he just immediately got a CGM. And for
Good,
90 days, he was on a CGM.
good,
Luckily, his insurance covered it, and he flipped everything. And he had no expectations. He didn't
good.
even know what to expect. So I'm also doing a CGM course now. It's a 2-week program where I help people. I basically hold their hand for 2 weeks, and
Wow.
I give them a food journal. I give them the
Mm-hmm.
CGM.
Mm-hmm.
I give them a grocery guide, and then we don't make any changes the first 3 days. We just observe,
Yep.
right?
Yeah. Yes.
We
Yep.
just
it's
observe
very
because
powerful.
I
Like, look at this.
I always
As
say,
in,
don't believe me. Don't believe what I say. Get a CGM and see
Yeah.
what your
yeah,
body's telling you,
the
because
numbers
We
don't
that's
sell them
lie.
in our coffee shop. We
that's
sell lingos in our
amazing.
coffee shop.
Freestyle
It has a
Libre?
little sign, and it says,
Oh
if
my
Dr. Jody's
goodness.
free, she'll even stick it in your arm for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's the best thing I've heard.
let me
Yeah.
tell
We
you
sell
That
lingo,
something.
and I'm telling you, it sells like hotcakes.
I'm
that's
sure.
incredible.
Because people want
Yeah.
to know. People really want to actually know. And that's the
Yeah.
best part about like this movement. Actually, people you come to this movement not by force. They come willingly. They want to know what's
Yes.
going on with their bodies and what their lifestyle has been doing. And the 3 days of observation is so brilliant, Amelia.
Yeah.
Because most of the time we're like, we're not telling you to do anything. Just see what your body is doing. And when you see the numbers and the numbers don't lie, as
Yeah.
in you by yourself will come and do those changes. And so
Oh, yeah.
it's not by force. It's like, hey, come as you are. And
100%.
I like that.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
mentioned Lingo, Dr. Jody. I partner with Lingo too. They found me through the SMHP,
Hmm.
and we have a custom discount code. So if you choose to order a Lingo CGM online,
Hmm.
if you put in Metabolic Magic at checkout, you get a discount.
Okay. Yeah, they've been cool. They've already given me kind of the wholesale pricing on it, but let me
Yeah,
save that too.
well, for our listeners, for
Yeah.
folks who want to just do it on their own schedule and things,
I like
Yeah.
that's
that.
one resource. So before we head out, I know we have a hard out. We also ask one question to every guest at the end of the show. What is the most magical metabolic tip or idea that has transformed your life for the better? Dr. Jody.
Mhm.
Mm, yeah. You have to do weights. You have to do weights and resistance training. You can be skinny fat, you can lose a bunch of weight, and I try to encourage people, like, I know that's a motivator. Focus on your health. The pounds are gonna come off. That's kind of the bonus benefit. But the biggest tip I can give to people, including myself, I worked with a personal trainer 2 years ago, and it transformed me. Like, you have to do weights and resistance. And I'm not saying you got to bench press 250 pounds. Even 5-pound dumbbells done on a consistent basis can be transformative for people.
Sure.
But if you're really wanting to have optimal health, you got to have that as part of your regimen. That's like your next step, your level up. Because that's what's going to not only change the way you look and feel. For women, having a little bit of strength can be one of the most empowering things. Just a little bit of strength. That's what's going to ultimately reverse your insulin resistance. And you have to knock that sucker down, honestly, to truly, truly be healthy. And you cannot accomplish that without doing weights or resistance training.
Well, as a personal trainer, brava.
I swear.
I love that.
Love that.
I love that
so
perspective.
Good.
So good. All right. Well, we are going to head out, but geez, this was amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time,
having me. That was
Dr. Jodi.
fun.
My goodness, this is so much fun.
Funmmy, so good to see you as always.
Wonderful to see you, Amelia. Dr. Jodi, this was such a fantastic episode.
Nice to meet you, Funmmy. Nice to meet you.
So as we always say, right here, we are the magic of metabolic health. And thank you for being part of our village, and we'll see you next time.
We're bringing healthy back. Them other bros don't know about the facts.